Hi guys, and welcome back to my Monday's Chat. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and all keeping safe and well. And guys, what has happened to the lovely sunshine? Sunshine, please come back. Anyway, today I have a really lovely guest. Super talented and also really inspiring and wanting to help others, and which I know because she reached out to me for a certain project this time last year. You guys probably know her from Emmerdale or Casualty. She's also starred in the West End, and I know currently before COVID was in 9 till 5, which my lovely former Strictly partner Brian Conley also in, and I went to see 9 till 5. Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. But anyway, I'm going to see if she's joined the live. Really excited for this one, guys. As always, not just yet. I'll keep looking. Nope, not yet. I will keep having a look, guys, don't worry. Oh, let's have a look now. Me and technology as well is not the best. Right, just sent the request. Says sent request successful, so fingers crossed she is going to be joining us really soon, guys. I think this one's going to be a really interesting one. And very different to my previous chats as well. Let's see if Chelsea's here. Send in the request. Not just yet. Chelsea, if you're there, go on and request. Fingers crossed she won't be too long. Guys, really, like I said, really looking forward to this with the lovely Chelsea Halfpenny, former EastEnders, got that wrong, Emmerdale actress and BBC Casualty. I know she was nominated for Best Newcomer in 2012 and Best Actress, also starring in the West End. And I know actually a lot of you have been messaging me saying we should do a duet. Guys, honestly, it'd break your phones. I'm honestly that bad at singing. Oops, request to send, Chelsea has said. Just have a look. Yes. Excited. Here she comes. Here it is, Chelsea. It's connecting now. Hi, Chelsea.
Oh, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. I was just trying to do it on my laptop. I'm sort of, as I'm getting older, I know I'm not old, but I definitely am just getting less technical.
I'm
So,
really bad. I've got to get Ben to set up my other half. Absolutely everything for me. And actually, that's something that during lockdown I have got a little bit better at because we've had no choice with everything being online.
of course,
How have you
yeah.
coped in lockdown?
I think at first I was enjoying the rest. I had been working really hard before that. But that was sort of definitely coming out of a naivety of how long it might have gone on for. And then I was doing all the sort of then it seems like a slight novelty, and I was doing all these like jigsaws, and I started making macrame, like sort of plant hangers and wall hangings, rope. I was doing all of that, and then I just sort of got into I feel like you just get into a routine of like not doing anything like that. And you just get into this like lockdown routine, and that's been it really, just like walking my dog and just doing really mundane things. And trying not to worry too much about what this means for myself and anyone else in this industry. Just sort of taking it day by day really, and enjoying the time off, because as you'll know, when things do get hectic in life, but also in our industry, it really is hectic. So I guess I'm just trying to make the most of,
Absolutely.
of a bad situation.
And will you be going back into 9 till 5?
No, so we were meant to be, the show was meant to be finishing at the Savoy in May anyway, because something else was going into that theatre. So I think we heard, like, we didn't, obviously nobody knew straight away how long this one would go on for, and then we were told a few weeks later that it would be cancelled. But there is a tour of 9 to 5. I'm not doing it, but there is a tour next year.
Because my lovely Bri, my first Strictly partner, Brian Conley, and I went last year to watch it, and oh my goodness, it was amazing. It was so good. I was like on my feet. Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. But Bri's amazing as well, isn't he? He's just so good.
We spoke about you a lot actually, and when you were doing the latest series, which was obviously when I was in the show, so when I was with Brian, he was always like, everybody vote Amy, like he was so supportive.
Oh, bless. So what would you say has been the highlight of your career? Because you've done so much. You've done Emmerdale, Casualty, Biker Grove. I used to be a Biker Grove fan. I used to love Biker Grove. Me and my twin sister, we loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
I loved it sort of back in the day, and then well, my auntie was in it like the first 4 series, and I did the last 4. So I used to watch the videos that my nana had recorded. So I like had seen loads of the very like the Ant and Dec days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was amazing. I mean, as a kid doing that, it was so good.
Yeah.
But honest, in terms of, I don't know, both Emmerdale and Casualty were amazing because the people and the work's really good. But like any job, if you're doing the same thing, I felt like I wasn't being challenged very much, and if I was to stay there much longer, because I haven't done a lot in my career, that maybe I would just get a little bit
stagnant, probably, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like, you know, wanting to be a better actress, I don't know if I would have continued to feel challenged there. So in terms of highlights, like for me, 9 to 5 was I'd never thought that I would be able to do a West End show. I didn't think I had the stamina. I have been told by people, been given feedback that I don't have a voice that has the stamina. You know, when you believe that sort of thing, if you know your peers tell you that wasn't somebody close to me that said that. That was just like a you know, like somebody in something.
Yeah.
You know, so when you hear that, it's really hard to not believe that. So that was like that first night when I did that, and when I got through it, it was honestly like, still to this day I will treasure that moment, because I probably won't get that feeling again. I mean, not only was it a musical theatre debut, but it was a West End debut, and it was amazing, and one of those jobs where like you are so challenged, like to the point where sometimes it was really hard, like, you know, where I'd be like, I would have so much anxiety, I didn't think I could hit the notes that night if I wasn't feeling well, and so it was a highlight for many reasons, but because it was so challenging. So I think when you do really hard things, it makes you like believe in yourself more.
Yeah, and it was such a successful show. I can remember last year going and actually finding a date where it wasn't already sold out. 9 to 5 in a Savoy was just incredible. Like, really was. Do you know what I mean? It was packed out every night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think people thought it was like a jukebox musical, which even if it was, would be great. But I think people are all surprised that obviously it's based on a film, so the story's actually like strong, and the songs are just amazing. They're not, you know, I think some people think that they're going to go and listen to Dolly Parton songs. Obviously she wrote them, but they're not the ones that you'd know. And it's just funny.
It is. Bry is really naughty in it, isn't he?
He's so good. I mean, but that's the talent, to play someone that's so awful but still be really likable.
Yeah. Oh, he's just so good. Yeah. And I can remember this time last year that actually you sent me a message on Twitter, because we suffer with the same thing, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
And you sent out a message and wanting to do like a podcast, didn't you? Because of all of us suffering and us finding out what triggers it. We haven't actually got round to doing it just yet, because you're so busy and so am I. But I think it's such a great idea. And I think, again, you're so inspiring to those with chronic illnesses that you went on, you know, you've been on Emmerdale Casualty and on such a tough West End show, you know, a headliner in an amazing 9 to 5 musical, and yet suffering with a chronic illness that many wouldn't know about. And how was your illness throughout 9 till 5?
It's hard. Like, everyone's just so different, as you'll know. Like,
yes,
to everyone. So I find it really like hard to talk about or like give advice or compare, because from what I hear of everyone else, not like nobody's is the same. So my experience, it's not very black and white. Like I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh, when I was you know, when I was really stressed about the show, that my I've got ulcerative colitis. So
yes, in the large intestine.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know if anybody knows the difference between Crohn's and colitis, but colitis starts at the lower end of the colon and will work its way up, and then Crohn's is where it can affect different parts of the colon, but sporadically. But whereas colitis would sort of start one way and make its way up. So I've got ulcerative colitis, and I got diagnosed 5 years ago. But yeah, so that was my first like live thing, experiencing like a live performance with having it. And yeah, I think I didn't have a flare up at the beginning of rehearsals, which is strange because I definitely think in my head I had a build up of stress, and I don't know about you, but stress definitely I think is linked to mine. So I would think that would create a flare up, and it didn't. And I don't remember exactly when I had flare-ups, but me personally, I seem to get them every 3 months, and it doesn't really matter what it is I'm doing, but that's just the cycle. So then when I was having a flare-up at work, I mean, it's a strange one because you don't look ill. Well, you know, for my personal symptoms, I don't look any different. And it's really hard to talk about because nobody knows about it, and they assume that it's IBS. So IBS in itself is difficult to handle, and I understand that, but it's completely different, and it's actually can be quite dangerous, and you can get hospitalized and all that kind of thing. And lots of people don't know that. So I feel like people just think you have a bad tummy, like you have.
You
just have or something, and it's obviously not the same. So yeah, but luckily I had not lots of breaks in the show. The breaks that I had in the show were never very long. But I definitely think I will carry an anxiety if I'm lucky enough to do another musical. If I was in a show where I didn't have any breaks to maybe go to the bathroom, I would worry about that.
Yeah. I'm like completely the other way, so I don't have that worry. But in terms of me, for my flare-ups, I definitely think stress is a trigger, but also diet as well for me. And I've got like a really restricted diet on, things I can't eat because it would definitely upset my stomach and make me sick.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm lucky enough that I don't have as many flare-ups as you do. Not every 3 months. I can have like a rough patch for a couple of months, but then I can, I've gone as long as like 2 years in remission.
Really?
Yeah, for me it was terrible from the age of 18 to 21, horrendous. And now I have bouts where it's bad, and then bouts where I'm, really lucky it's good. But I get little symptoms, which, so my eyes will swell up, or I get really tired, mouth ulcers. And as soon as they happen, I'm on to my doctor because I know a flare-up is approaching. So I get the
Yeah.
steroids or, the medication that I need to hopefully prevent it to be. Whereas back in the day, obviously, because we didn't know, it would then lead to a few days later hospitalisation, do you know what I mean? And trying to get the flare-up under control. So,
And is it Crohn's or is it ulcerative colitis?
I have Crohn's.
Right,
Terminal
okay.
ileum. Yeah, and the terminal ileum mine is. So,
Okay.
but it's all, like, the symptoms can be very similar. I know every patient is different, but in terms of, it's gut related, isn't it? So Crohn's and it's IBD. And
Yes.
when I first went on Strictly, I wasn't ever brave enough to talk about it. It was very new being in the public eye to me. And then, like you, I just wanted to raise awareness really for it because it's not spoken about enough. There isn't a cure. And yeah, you don't want to be out with friends and get into embarrassing situations. You just want everyone to talk about it and feel comfortable, for me. And I've been so lucky, like the Strictly family have been amazing regarding it. Crohn's and Colitis UK. Are you all right? Can you hear me okay? I think I can hear some do-do-do-do-do. Can you hear me okay? Hello?
Oh, yes, I can
Are
hear
you
you
all
now.
right?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yes, sorry. Yeah, so my Strictly family were amazing when I spoke about it. The charity Crohn's and Colitis UK, absolutely brilliant. But it was really daunting because for me, I don't want to be known as Amy with Crohn's. I want to be known as Amy the dancer. I don't want it to define me. So how do you feel about, when you got diagnosed, did it affect you in any way?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You don't. It's a weird thing of wanting to champion people to talk about it, but like you say, I don't want it to define me because if anything, there's dealing with it, and then there's like giving it the energy and the attention, and actually, for me anyway, I sort of tend to not talk about it that much now. Even if I'm having a flare up, as long as I'm not in excruciating pain, I don't really tend to mention it to, or not too much anyway, to friends and family, because I just, it's not like I'm trying to ignore it, but I just, rather than thinking about it and thinking about how annoying it is, I'll just sort of maybe just change my lifestyle for those couple of weeks of when it's happening. But yeah, I mean, when I got diagnosed, I just feel like I didn't understand what it was. And that's maybe what my motivation has been to talk about it more. And then like when I got in touch with you about maybe doing a podcast, is honestly just to understand it. That's the most annoying thing for me, is that it's not as black and white as going,
No.
Oh, well, it's stress related. Oh, well, it's diet related. Because I went through a stage of being like, it's absolutely diet related. And I went vegan, and I'm still vegan now. And that was 4 years ago. So that was pretty early on into getting diagnosed. And it's helped in that a lot of vegan foods are easily digestible. So to me, anything that is that wouldn't irritate the colon is good when you're having a flare up, or maybe in general, anything that isn't massively, yes. But then that's different for everyone as well. So
I'm the same as you there. So I can't eat anything that the gut really has to work hard to digest.
Yeah, exactly. So like, which can be annoying in terms of like always having to like, I don't do this so much actually, because I wouldn't say that I don't have flare-ups where I'm like in bed or anything. Well, I haven't as of yet. And who knows, maybe the vegan diet, like, you'll never know, will you? Like,
no.
What mine hasn't gotten worse, so mine has stayed pretty consistent, maybe gotten slightly better. And I know lots of people's just sort of get worse and worse and worse. So has the vegan diet helped? I don't know, because I can't go, like, if I could compare the me that would continue to eat, sort of batch loaves of bread, like badly grown, like more processed food, who knows if it would have got worse? Like, I really don't know. but that's sort of what I've done. But then, so then I did that, and I was like, oh, well, you know, it's going to get better. And it did get better immediately. And then it came back. Then I tried a raw diet. It went away immediately. I'm talking like, as in I'm having symptoms one day, and then for 3 weeks they were gone. Like which never happened.
Wow.
I take medication. So, but then the more you do something, I was like, is this just placebo? Is it just that actually my brain is like, you know, I'm doing this thing and now I'm better? I basically can't make any sense of it, and I can't find anyone that can. So my point was to just talk to as many people as possible about it and just see if there's any common denominators between us all.
Yeah. For me, I find that I am fine when I'm really busy. And then it's as soon as I stop, I get ill. Which is crazy, because you'd think it's during your busy period you would be ill, but it's not. It's when I actually stop. And everyone always says, my students and my friends, they always say, when you stop, gradually, do it gradually, because otherwise you're going to get ill. And it's always the same. It's when I suddenly stop, I become ill, which is kind of crazy. But sometimes I guess you don't know the anxiety built up inside, and when your body goes, it's just strange. And then I speak to some, and like my IBD nurse the other week, and she was like, yes, I've had so many like that. And then I speak to somebody else, and not at all. It's when they're having downtime they get ill. You know, when they're really busy and stressed, they get ill. It's crazy. And then you speak to some, and it's only diet, it's stress related. You know, there's just it's finding that common ground. I did hear though that when people are pregnant, ladies are pregnant, their symptoms are relieved.
Really?
So that I wonder then, is there a hormone reproduced in the body, females when pregnant? Yeah, because so many, they say to me, just have a baby. And I'm like, it's not just as easy as that.
I love that. Just the 9 months of relief, but then the rest of your life responsibility just to have 9 months of being symptom free.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I've heard that because at first I was like, it makes sense for people in our industry if when you stop working it comes, because there's so much unsure, you're unsure financially, you're unsure when your next job's going to come, and I presume that will be a trigger for me, because yeah, I mean, who wants to, as a grown adult, in any other sort of line of work, you like, you work hard and you get promoted and you sort of have this career path and you can see it ahead of you, and in our line of work you don't do that. You can be up here and then you just crash back down, and it's like this, which I know that I like. It's not that I find that super stressful, or else I would just move on to a different career, but I do think that I have a similar thing where it's like the downtime is maybe we have too much time to think.
Yeah.
We just need to like constantly have tasks to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But for me, you're inspiring to see you. I know being on the West End I've not been on the West End, but I've seen many West End shows. It's definitely a grueling schedule, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think people see it. Do you know what I mean? Until, obviously speaking to Brian, other West End performers, it is like, how many shows a week were you doing?
You do 8 a week. So you have a Sunday off, but you do 2 on a Wednesday and 2 on a Saturday, so it's 8 altogether. But I mean, it even surprised me, and even though I had all these aspirations to do it, and I've seen so many shows, I will never watch a show with the same mindset again, because I know that I've been to see shows and stupidly been like, oh, I feel like he or she isn't giving 100% tonight. It's like, because you can't, because you'd literally collapse like by midweek if you gave 100%. Like, it's just not possible. And
yet you've done all that with colitis. So think how inspiring you are now to those who are growing up and want to and get diagnosed. Now they see you 9 to 5, amazing highlights in your acting career. I think it's really inspiring. Like I think it would have helped me. I got diagnosed younger, when I was suffering younger, got diagnosed later, but seeing others, do you know what I mean? And knowing, oh, I can achieve it. Like, yes, we have days where we, you know, it does stop us, but generally, I think it's having that drive and that dream and ambition that pushes us through as well.
I would really hope that nobody that has this thinks that it would stop them doing anything. I mean, obviously it depends on the severity as well, because I know someone currently that's really struggling and has had loads of complications in hospital, and it really is, it can lead to so many other awful sort of things. So I understand why that would make you feel like you can't currently achieve what you want to achieve, but it's so you would be so supported anyway within your company wherever you are. You know, anytime I did say that I was slightly ill or mentioned to people that I was, you know, in pain or whatever, I was so supported, as I'm sure you have been, and there is no reason for you to ever, I would hate the idea that someone would think that this would stop you doing anything. Like, what a shame.
I know I have unfortunately met a few, and not just with Crohn's and colitis, other chronic illnesses. And I think a lot of it's down to confidence as well.
Yeah.
And I kind of get that, because it is an illness you don't know when it's going to flare, isn't it? And like with other chronic illnesses. But I just think, for me, I turned it around and said it's going to make me a stronger person. You know, I know what it feels like to have my dancing taken away from me from when I was hospitalised for 6 weeks. And I think knowing that horrible feeling of having it taken away from me made me more determined. And actually, when people were like, oh, should you do that because you've got Crohn's? I'd be like, you're not telling me what to do.
and I think as well, I mean, how I've sort of looked at it, I'm not saying like I'm the healthiest person in the world, but it definitely, I think when you're younger, you take your health for granted. And I mean, I was only 22 when I got diagnosed. It was 6 years ago. I'm losing the track of time. But I'm always like, it was like 3 years ago. It was like 6 years ago when I got diagnosed. But I think it just made me just think about my health more, and looking after myself, and realizing that your just that your body's like a working thing, and it has to work really hard to look after you if you don't put into it you know, the right nutrition, and really looking after yourself. And that's not just diet wise, I'm talking like mental health wise as well. I'm very like, everything has to be a million miles an hour, and I think that's not good for me. I think about like, I need to be more present, which actually lockdown has really helped with. Like, I'm not in a rush to do anything, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, for me, it was a fear. I don't know how you feel about this. And I guess another reason why I was scared to initially speak out was fear of maybe not getting other jobs in the future, because they'd see you as a risk to take on. Do you know what I mean? Because we do have to tick that, have you got a chronic illness box? Do you know what I mean? And that was such a fear. And Strictly were amazing. Like, I told them, and they couldn't have been more supportive. But you do worry, will every job be like that?
Yeah, of course, because this industry is so like, you know, you've got to be relied on, and you know, in any show that you need to be there every single night. So yeah, exactly. I mean, I actually never thought of it like that. The idea that could affect it. You'd really hope it wouldn't. My God, the idea that someone wouldn't.
Yeah, you really.
Doing something.
Yeah. I think I'm a worrier as well, which obviously doesn't help.
Yeah. I think
so what do you...
that is one thing that I've heard from people that have got it. We all have this, like, we're all worriers. Worriers, not warriors. Imagine, we're all warriors.
Yes, we are, though. We're that too.
Yeah, we are that as well. But I do think we're all sort of, I mean, I'm a very internal worrier. Somebody just called me then, obviously very popular.
It's okay. I think she'll come back now. Here we go.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
You're back now, Chelsea. There we go.
Sorry, someone was just trying to ring me.
I know, you're okay, you're back now. That's okay. That's all right. I agree. We're all worried.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So what have you got lined up next, Chelsea?
Well, nothing now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of, I'm just really not thinking about what's to come. Unfortunately, the theatre industry and TV industry is at a bit of a halt. Theatre especially. So at the moment, I'm just trying to stay proactive, and I'm just staying as creative as possible. Even though at times like this, it's hard to stay that way. It's hard to stay motivated. But yeah, I'm just going to continue singing, and that's it really. I'm just supporting, you know, the industry and trying to be proactive in that way, to keep our theatres sort of alive and the arts alive. What's ironic is that they're getting no help, and
I know, I can't believe it.
But it's the thing that is keeping people sane during this time is TV and you know, any other media outlet that you can watch.
Yeah, and also how many online musicals have there been for people to keep entertained? Do you know what I mean? And to keep the love and the spirit alive. And they've had no support whatsoever. And I'm feared that some theatres may even close down because of this.
Yeah, I think they will. It's really scary. I'm trying not to worry too much about it, like selfishly for me, but also just like even just like for Newcastle, where I'm from, has a really lovely theatre scene, and is really supportive of its local actors. And I would just really hate that for the city.
Yeah.
So I might just start proactive in that and see what I can do from my end to be as supportive as possible.
Amazing. Would you ever consider Strictly?
Well, I get asked that all the time because I don't know if you know, but my auntie did it the second season.
Yes.
And she won it.
Yep. I can remember. Oh my goodness, she's like one of my favourites ever.
Really?
Yeah, with Darren Bennett to I'm Still Standing. Me and my sister learned the entire routine. And actually, Jill came on It Takes Two the week of the final.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I know she's done that a few times. They often ask her because I think especially in the early series, like, you know, things like Jill's Jive, it was like, because it was so new, and for her to get those 4 10s, I don't know if you remember, but when she won, my nana, so Jill's mum, ran onto the stage and dragged me with her, 12-year-old me.
I'll have to look.
And Bruce Forsyth's going, get away. He thought we were some crazy fans. But yeah, obviously that would be a lot to live up to for me. I'm definitely not as much of a dancer as Jill is.
You never know.
But I know a friend of mine that would love me to do it. My friend Jade, I don't know if she's watching, but she was British champion when she was 16. So she loves Strictly and she loves you. So I know she'd love me to do it.
Thank you. I actually know your Auntie Jill's partner, Darren Bennett, really well as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and him and Lily are expecting their second child at the moment. But yeah, I was honestly big fans of Jill. I really was. Yeah, she's fab.
Congratulations from me. That's amazing.
I will say, pass it on. Thank you. Also, I had loads of messages saying that I still need to do a duet. I cannot sing at all. I think I'm like the only Welsh person who can't sing.
You must be able to. If you're Welsh, you have the voice of an angel.
Honestly, I'm no Catherine Jenkins. I'm terrible. And I literally had like my Instagram inbox was going mad saying, you need to do a duet, you need to do a duet. So you are very popular for your singing.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, I need to get a lot of lessons in. Right, I'm going to ask you, I do this every week with all my guests, and it's a segment, what were you doing when? And so there's 5 questions. So what was you doing this time last Monday in lockdown?
I was sweating, trying to move. I was moving house. Sorry, trying to fit a sofa into my flat door, which was not possible. So that's what I was doing. I was very stressed.
Did you get it in?
I did. We had to like completely unscrew it and everything. It was a nightmare.
But you've got it in, so you've got the end goal. Okay then, what were you doing this time last year? The end of June last year.
End of June last year, I got, I would have just been told that I got 9 to 5, so I would have probably been celebrating.
Amazing. Okay then, what were you doing June 5 years ago, so 2015?
I would have been filming Casualty then. I would have just gotten Casualty then, so I think I started in that summer. It was a really amazing hot summer in Cardiff, and I just had 2 years of barely any work, and I was just so happy to be there.
Were you? Oh, lovely Cardiff. That's not far from my hometown, Caerphilly.
Where are you from?
Caerphilly.
Oh,
so
really?
like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, I love Wales. I actually visited quite a few little places around there whilst I was there, and I just loved it.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Okay, then what were you doing 10 years ago?
How old am I now?
2010, that would have been.
I love how all my answers are to do with work. I don't work this consistently, but 10 years ago, I would have been auditioning for Emmerdale, and I started Emmerdale in the September. Oh no, that was it. So my plan, because I had auditioned for drama school, I didn't get in anywhere. So I think I'd enrolled at a college to do like a year of music and then just audition again for drama school. But I think I would have been auditioning, like maybe had my first audition for Emmerdale around about now.
Oh, wow. So did you have more than one audition for Emmerdale?
Oh yeah, there was like 5 or 6 rounds.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was hectic.
Very stressful. And what was it like when they told you got the job?
Oh my God. Honestly, it's like I'd been at sixth form for a couple of years, and I did not expect it at all. There was a couple of girls in the last audition who I knew of, and was just like, well, obviously they're gonna cast her. So I really didn't expect it. Crazy.
Oh wow. And you got to work then with Kelvin Fletcher? How was she?
Of course, yes, I did. And my character ended up going out with him in the show, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he was going out with my mum in the show, and then my character got with him after that. Typical Emmerdale.
Yeah. Oh, Kelvin's lovely, isn't he?
He's so nice. And he was so good. I knew he would be, because I've been on a few nights out with Kelvin, and you know, I've seen him dance to Northern Soul, and I knew he had the moves.
Yeah, he's got a good hip action as well, isn't he? You got snake
absolutely.
hips. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant too. I love him. Okay, then this is a biggie. What were you doing 20 years ago? The last one, 20 years ago.
So I was 8. So I literally would have been in school. Probably, I don't think at 8 I didn't even go to like a dance school, I think, yet. So I was likely just playing in the street, playing like curbsy or something. Have you ever played that before when you were growing up, where you took the ball off a curb and if it's back you get like 1 million points? That was like what I was doing at this time on a Monday.
Oh, brilliant. So when did you actually get into musical theatre, singing, acting, dancing then?
Well, this is what, you know, when everyone's like, when did you discover you wanted to be an actress? I think as a kid, like, I didn't know necessarily that acting was a thing. Like, I think I just thought it all came together. So I knew that I just liked showing off and I liked singing a bit. And then I went to like a little theatre school when I was about 10, I think. But also there was like, my audition for Biker Grove was just like in the newspaper, like how they used to do it. They just advertise it in the newspaper. And then I think when I got that, is that like when I went, oh, you know, I must be all right. I must be pretty good. And then I've never really done anything else. So that's, I think as a kid, you sort of fall into it. You know, I didn't necessarily think like, oh, I want to be an actor. I didn't know that straight acting was like a thing. But then I was in that show for 4 years, so that took over like my whole life, and then I've just never, you know, that's all I've ever wanted to do, really.
Yeah, of course. Amazing. Well, I really hope that we get around to doing a podcast.
Yes, we will. If anything, I've got no excuse now to not come up with some, like, a good sort of, the problem is just coming up with something that people will find entertaining and informative, because I don't want it to just be, I want people to take something from it, like what you're saying, like if you'd listen to something like that, you know, back when you first got it, then that is what I'd like. So I promise now, I'm saying this now live, I will I'll make sure that I work on it and we can talk about things properly, for sure.
And you know what, it even helps those who are not suffering, because, you know, everybody knows somebody with IBD or IBS, do you know what I mean? And it's also helpful, you know, for friends, family, partners, you know, employers, to even just understand a little bit about it and, you know, be more understanding, or, you know, just be there for somebody whilst they're suffering. Or even when you speak to other people who are going through a tough time and not maybe diagnosed yet, you might go, actually, I've listened to this and it could be true. And I think, again, it's helpful and useful to everybody, not just sufferers out there, really.
Yeah, and just trying to get rid of the stigma of it. You know, it's quite an embarrassing subject. I mean, I'm not embarrassed, but that's just the way that I am. But I know that a lot of people are embarrassed to talk about it, and it's understandable. But I would love to stop there being a stigma about it. Because I think the less we talk about it, the more you internalize it, and I just don't think that's probably helpful to the disease itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think you're really, really inspiring, and I look forward to us doing a podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming onto the chat this afternoon. It was really, really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you, and getting to hear more about you. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be working together on Strictly, eh?
You never know.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Keep safe and well.
See you later.
Thanks, Chelsea. Bye.
Bye.
How amazing is Chelsea? Really, really inspiring. And you can see such a strong, strong person, which definitely helps having an IBD. And so lovely that she was so open to talk about it as well. Also hearing just some fantastic stories about Chelsea. And I honestly would have thought that she would have been acting since a young child. So yeah. And I wish Chelsea all the luck in her future projects, and she definitely, definitely, definitely belongs on the stage. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And I just wish you all to keep safe, keep well, and of course, keep social distancing. Take care, guys.